If people had a grudge against Naruto for the Nine Tails attack 16 years ago, imagine how big the one would be after the Pain invasion. Boy, I would love to see Kishimoto ride himself out of that hole. Naruto cannot come back empty-handed after meeting Nagato. The Pain and Salt arc is one of the greatest peaks of Naruto Shippuden and anime in general. One of the coolest looking villains, one of the coolest training arcs for a main character, one of the coolest drips for a main character, arguably one of the best entrances in anime history. One of the most known fights in anime for all its cool scenes and goofiness, one of the best speeches in anime history, some of the most heartbreaking soundtracks, one, if not the best love declaration. Damn, what this arc did not have? Well, most people would argue it had a lackluster finale and a boring ending song. Honestly, I think that season could have had a better ending, but not for Kishimoto's usual writing style. So, before getting to that, like the video and subscribe. The theme of the Pain Assault arc was peace. A peace that could only be achieved if people could really understand each other's motives, feelings, and pain that made them seek conflict to solve their issues with one another. Our main villain Pain, Nagato, was an advocate that this peace was impossible to achieve as people could never really understand each other's pain. People would always put their own pain first. People would always see their loved ones as more important than the loved ones of others. People would always see their village as more important than others. People would always fear that seeking peace would only lead to betrayal. Lady Chiyo, the Konoha elders, Danzo, and Lord Hanzo were perfect examples of that. Thus, in Pain's logic, the only way to achieve peace was to stop war completely or discourage people from doing so. How? By rendering them powerless. Pain wishes to strip the power of the five great ninja villages by becoming an even bigger powerhouse, one that could win every battle but at the same time would not be tied to anyone and benefit any village. A fearful peacemaker. That is the plan of the Akatsuki. Well, after watching the rest of the series, we kind of don't know if that is true. The real leader of the Akatsuki had other plans in mind. The Uchiha, Hobito, and Madara coalition were secretly running things behind Pain's Nagato's back, and their idea of peace was slightly different. A Genjutsu, in Uchiha faction, creating dream worlds where everyone had all they wished for and never had any reason to fight one another. Pretty much a matrix. Everyone was obligated to plug in and remain in that state until they died. Well, little did they know that their plan, Infinite Tsukuyomi, was something to harvest humans and was created by aliens. But that is into the Boruto's plotline, so it isn't worth going there. Our protagonist's side was represented by Naruto, but he wasn't really up in that discussion until he first faced Pain. Only after the first showdown between the characters, at pretty much the middle of the arc, after so many things had happened, Naruto faced Pain. And Naruto never showed any concern for world peace, but he now did. He only strived to protect the bonds he had with his dear friend Sasuke, when in the face of Pain, he really had no arguments to on how to achieve peace. It's like a person who doesn't know politics just faced with having to make a speech to be a nation's next president. It was honestly overwhelming, so Naruto liked to not have any answer, to not be ready yet. Usually main characters always pull off their main character status and say the right words and be on the right side of reason, as characters like Luffy or Natsu Dragon Hill of the same era usually were. Like, hey, what kind of world you want to create? Well, a world where people can eat. Well, fuck it, that's a cool world, I guess. We are losing to the antagonist here in Naruto. both physically and idealistically. But after some interruption from a loved one and the Nine Tails, we managed to get our heads right by meeting one of the most important characters of the show, the fourth Hokage, Minato, one of Naruto's dead parents. By the way, the fact that Naruto completely ignores Hinata after the Pain Assault arc, doesn't look for her, doesn't talk to her, doesn't thank her, doesn't face her, felt like a stab in the heart. Honestly, Sakura is the one getting the emotional moment. What the fuck? Right in front of Hinata? Why? After what this woman did, we didn't get one filler episode out of 21 that came afterwards of their developing relationship? That was honestly disrespectful. Naruto deserves all the anti thrown at him. Yes, I said it, he does. But yeah, after punching his dad, our boy Naruto finally had his answer for peace. A bit in shonen anime fashion, the answer is not to give up. Yeah, there is no easy path for peace, there is no shortcut for peace. Even if the answer for peace may be effective, if it is tyrannical, oppressive like Pain's answer, which would later become Sasuke's answer, if it is forcibly creating an utopia like Obito Madara's answer, it is still a shortcut. Why are they shortcuts? Well, even if their goal may lead to peace, it means nothing if it is not achieved through peaceful and morally correct means. That's what we have to believe. Talk no Jutsu. Having his answer, Naruto decided to once again respond to Pain's question for peace. Naturally, not answering the first time, Pain was not having none of that, and they fought once again. Naruto won. Still determined, he managed to find Nagato, the man behind the pains, and confronted him. This is where the climax of this arc takes some interesting turns. After an epic battle, nothing was settled. This was uncharted waters for your usual shonen anime, a super clash of ideals. Naruto's ideals versus Nagato's ideas for peace. Especially because all we've been fighting have been essentially puppets. Upon some initial tension and the possibility of fighting, Nagato presents his backstory to Naruto and pretty much justifies his quest for peace and his relationship with their master, which also wanted an answer for peace. After hearing it, Naruto presents his answer using a book that was written by Jiraiya, inspired by Nagato himself. A different Nagato than the one before him. A Nagato whose answer for peace was also not to give up. A Nagato that did not want to give up on morality to achieve peace. This realization made Nagato shiver. He realized that what he was now is not what he wished to be before. He realized that his current path was not ideally and morally correct. So much so that he tries to justify his change for himself by asking Naruto if he believed that he would never change in the future as well. If he would never betray his own beliefs. Well, Naruto's answer confirmed what he already knew. That change should not have happened. Thus, in some way, Naruto beats Nagato's ideals by mirroring his former self onto him. What comes afterwards is probably what people are most disappointed with. Even I am in some way. Having lost both battles, Nagato seeks to repent himself for his mistakes right away. A sudden change in character. Something we saw Kishimoto do before with characters like Sai. Hey, I'm gonna kill Sasuke because that's my mission. A few minutes later, hey, I won't kill Sasuke because Naruto and Sakura like you. And they talked about my brother, so yeah. Well, but to do so with a character so well spoken and convincing in their own beliefs like Pain is kinda questionable. Using his reanimation jutsu, he revives all recently lost lives by his assault on the Hidden Leaf Village. Given the enormity of people revived, he unfortunately lost his life, but that was a risk he was willing to take. After all lives came back, Nagato's life perished. His Akatsuki partner Konan explained everything to Naruto and took his body back to the hidden rain village. As for Naruto, he came back to the village and was received as a hero. Yay! Naturally, this is a drastic and never seen ending to a villain ever. The villain did a complete 180 on his ideals because he faced the same opponent twice and goes so far to do a completely selfless act by sacrificing himself for people he just killed after being defeated physically and ideologically by the hero. Well, that was intense and honestly a bit unrealistic and convenient for Naruto standards. This change of the villain's heart with conversations after the battle became known as Talk no Jutsu, or was known already before. The most powerful jutsu used in Naruto, the one who would change the outcome of any arc, defeating the villain's ideals and making them get on our side. Jokes aside, I still think the Talk no Jutsu made sense. As soon as the theme of the arc became about peace, just having a conflict between the characters wouldn't be enough. I just think it was not executed well. Even though it is subtle, I love the fact that Nagato realized that he was the child of prophecy all along and not Yaiko. In his backstory, we mostly saw how Nagato and Konan were kind of dragged along in Yaiko's adventures. Yaiko was the charismatic person. He was the face of the Akatsuki. He looked like the bridge to take us to peace. So much so that Hanzo the salamander wanted him dead, and Nagato uses his dead body as the main puppets for the paints. In other words, Nagato's admiration for Yaiko was bigger than the belief he had on himself. But that was completely the opposite opinion that Yaiko had. For him, Nagato was the man. Nagato was the bridge for peace. He just happened to be more confident talking to people, I guess, and that is represented by Tendo Pain's speeches. It is a similar situation to Kamina and Simon in Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. While Kamina was the charismatic one, Simon was the shy one who had the attributes to be the main character. Thus, Nagato's realization that he was the child of prophecy that inspired Naruto's answer, inspired Jiraiya's first book, was truly special. What followed this moment was a bit disappointing. Nagato questions Naruto if he could really maintain his path. How can Naruto guarantee that he won't change his ways in his road for peace? I know it's his ninja way and all, but that is too optimistic to say. We later in the arc see the answer to this. The people around us don't allow us to change. When Neji died, Hinata showed how it should be done. The people around us keep on supporting how we were and how we want to be. Something Konan didn't seem to do at all when Nagato began to change after Yaiko's death, and when he changed after speaking to Naruto. Sorry Yaiko, she didn't do her job. She should have reminded Nagato who they were, what they were trying to accomplish, and why are they doing so. Even if Naruto just shook Nagato, at least she should have intervened to call out how Naruto did pretty much all talk. Everyone can lie to themselves, everyone can betray themselves in the future. Nobody can guarantee that, especially in Naruto where even our main character has doubts about himself, can fail and default to hatred. Instead, Konan, as classic female character in Naruto, just stands there, has no opinion and makes no decisions on her own. She's both culprit of killing people and destroying the Leaf Village, but is just allowed to go back to the Rain Village without any sort of repent or retribution besides seeing her friend die. Naruto cannot really give a clear answer to why he won't change. He just says he can't. Isn't that convenient? The only proof that Naruto provided that he wanted to strive for peace and wouldn't change was resisting killing Nagato when he faced him. But that cannot be enough. Nagato doesn't press on this matter either. That cannot be enough for our villain to just erase our emotions and impact regarding the people Nagato killed. It is spineless for the author to regret them and finding a cheap way to erase them, especially if it comes at the cost of one of the greatest villains ever. Naruto returns to the village and everyone cheers for him because he literally pulled off a miracle. People were brought back to life. Despite the destruction of buildings, houses, infrastructure, businesses, seeing loved ones being brought back to life is something else entirely worthy of glorifying. Still, all of this was a weird chain of events. Overall, Kishimoto had some complicated decisions to make, as it was in the Kazekage rescue arc. Gaara was killed and revived through the sacrifice of Lady Chiyo. In this case, the major deaths we had on this arc were Kakashi, Fukusaku, and Shizune. Trading Nagato for Kakashi was the biggest trade we made. But in a way, Kakashi's death could have been rewritten to a certain extent. He died using Sharingan too much and the obvious destruction of the Shira Tensei. That could have easily been dealt with the minimum writing, just like Hinata's death was overwritten, which was pretty pointless given that she could have been revived by Nagato anyway. Don't see why Pain couldn't kill her. Still, someone could have saved Kakashi in the last moment and his eye could have gone blind or something, just to have a little consequence, and nobody would care. As for the rest of the people who died, Fukusaku and Shizune could be a sacrifice. The first wouldn't really show up again in the rest of the series. Obviously, Fukusaku is not going to show up in the war because he's dead, but even his wife doesn't show up either, and Shizune does not play a bigger role in the war arc. Thus, everyone that died actually died, and Nagato remained alive. Where do we go from here? Well, one of the things that couldn't happen for sure is Naruto getting caught, unless some other character from the Akatsuki could intervene, like Obito or Zetsu. Sasuke intervening, since he was also in his way to the Leaf Village, wouldn't lead to anything. Even if he could capture Naruto and trade him for a meeting with the elders Odanzo, with the village destroyed, Sasuke just would invade it like Pain did. Does he really need something to trade with? Having an ally intervene wouldn't make sense either because Naruto wanted a private encounter with Pain. Only Guy's team could reach there, but they were naturally in the direction of the village. Yamato was also so far away, no allies were coming. Thus, for me, there are only two viable options besides the one we got. Either having Nagato and Konan retreat, or capture at least one of them and return to the village with something. First route. Naruto told Shikaku and Inoichi he wanted to talk to Pain. Coming back empty-handed with all the death and destruction in the village would be kind of a big mess. Instead of being received as a hero, Naruto, just like the Nine Tails 16 years before, would probably be being hated for what happened. As he should. The village was attacked precisely because they were after Naruto because he had the Nine Tails. Letting Nagato go would be betraying his village or be seen as so. Besides, it would start another hate cycle against the Hidden Rain village. Would Naruto try to stop it? How? We saw how. When he tried to stop the Raikage to hunt for Sasuke, he bowed his head and cried. Even though his answer for pieces keep trying, he didn't give any practical solutions, and now, instead of having to beg for other villagers not to go after Sasuke, he would be doing that against his own village that died protecting him. Yeah, that would be a dire situation to be in. Much harder than the situation White Fang was in. A launch party without Naruto's knowing could be set out right away to capture Nagato. It would be cool to see a second invasion of the Hidden Rain village, but with more ninjas from Konoha. But that would have to happen at the same time the Kage Summit occurred. Between that and going after Pain, I would prefer that the Kage Summit got more attention. Still, it wouldn't solve the hatred the village would have for Naruto if Nagato got away. Even without a conversation with Shikaku, people died because of him. People lost their lives, their roads, their businesses, their hospitals, their schools, their comfort, their village. The culprits got away because Naruto doesn't want beef with them? He is protecting them? After all we did not to rat him out? He almost even transformed during his battle with Pain. If people had a grudge against Naruto for the Nine Tails attack 16 years ago, imagine how big the one would be after the Pain invasion. If people in the village didn't hate Naruto after that, I would stop watching the series. Pretty much, yeah. If they did hate him, boy, I would love to see Kishimoto ride himself out of that hole. Because having Naruto clean all the hatred in the village against Pain and the Rain Village would seem impossible. Especially if he's being aided on as well. And we also need to add that the Cloud Ninjas in the village are in that hatred cycle. Damn, yeah. Naruto cannot come back empty-handed after meeting Nagato, or he cannot have the conversation with Nagato at all. But that would take the climax out of this arc. The second option is to capture Nagato. Now, Konan wouldn't just let a weakened Nagato get captured. I know she's a minor character, but I don't think Kishimoto would shit on her existence that much. Even if it's against Sage Naruto, the exhaustion probably would be enough to be a fair fight. Besides, we really don't know the extent of her powers, and it would be cool to see it. So, if Konan doesn't let Nagato get captured, it means he retreats to the Akatsuki, and she gets arrested. Naruto wouldn't kill her, obviously. Since they failed to retrieve Naruto, and the 5 Kages began to move, Obito would probably start the 4th grade ninja war again. Would Nagato still side with Obito if he decided upon that? Would he start a war just to achieve peace? After encountering Naruto, would he really still do it? Or would he betray Obito farther down the line? It could be done. And it would be a slow but much more believable character progress for Nagato. Hey! Wouldn't Obito sense something wrong and try to take Nagato's Rinnegan? Most likely not, since he clearly lost to Naruto. A change of heart because of a book is unpredictable. Not even Zetsu was observing a confrontation between Naruto and Nagato. Wouldn't he just take the Rinnegan from Nagato because he's weaker? Not really. Nagato is still tremendously strong and leader of the Akatsuki and controls the Geto statue. He's still useful. Still, this only alleviates the hatred the Eden Leaf Village would have for Naruto we spoke about in the previous route. Something I think Kishimoto tried mostly to avoid. He wanted Naruto to be seen as a hero at the end of this arc. How can this be executed? After their conversation, Nagato responds that he cannot just simply believe what Naruto will say and be in the future. Even though frustrated, Naruto tries to convince him that Nagato has to at least face the consequences for his actions and be at least locked up. And then Konan attacks Naruto with some clone or whatever and tries to get Nagato the hell out of there. We get Konan facing Naruto for a while. He probably would be too tired to defeat her, but he suddenly gets help from Inoichi and Shikaku. They defeated and arrested her. By fighting more of the Akatsuki clans, they are even more willing to have an Hokage summit. This way, Konan's character gets a little bit more respect it deserves. Naruto and Nagato don't reach an understanding, but that plants the seeds for a future Nagato betrayal. Naruto has to see and feel the hatred of other people against the Brain Village or just the Akatsuki itself. And now, unlike Sasuke, it's a hatred that he understands and he shares as well. And now it's a hatred that he must also find answers to. It is not as much of a whole as being hated by the village so much in the first route, but it's a smaller whole, I would say. And honestly, much more interested to figure out Naruto struggles with all these issues before the war. The Leaf Village is destroyed and suffered a lot of losses. How could they even participate in the war? How would Madara be revived? By Edo Tensei or by Rinnegan? We don't know. A lot of stuff surrounding the war and the 5 Kage summit probably would have to change, hopefully for the best. Because in a way, this peace team was not touched at all again. We didn't see it again. We didn't solve the shinobi system. We just said to Pain and to Hobito and to Sasuke that, hey, we are going to try. But of course, this route cannot really exist because of one major problem. That's not how Kishimoto writes his female characters. Imagine Conan, a woman, being an actual decent antagonist in the show and making justified decisions on her own. Yeah, right. Thus, a complete 180 of the villain was the best thing that ever happened. Yeah, there was no other way for Kishimoto to write himself out of this. In the end, I believe the ending of this arc might have been rushed because of schedule purposes. I'm not going to do a big investigation on it because probably some other guy has already done it and that's not really my style. I'm just judge the outcome and most people won't care and it won't improve the series. The series felt like it was reaching a peak. We were facing the leader of the evil organization, or it was simply just about to reach the manga, and a sudden break of the arc was created so that the anime could have some filler. And it was a lot of filler. 21 episodes. That's like 4 months. Imagine having to animate a Conan fight for real. Episodes 168 and 69 were already low on quality, so they wouldn't be able to pull off another high quality fight. Worst case scenario, it would happen off screen. Ugh. Still, it would have been interesting, but we got what we got. A rushed ending with some touches of genius writing. Yeah, Pain is still loved by everyone, the Dark no Jutsu is still a joke, and it's still funny, and we all love this arc. Let me know your thoughts below, like and subscribe if you're interested in more content like this. Sensei Leoman, I'm out.
I once knew a trick name, anime.